Hello, everyone. Hope you can hear me. Thank you so much for joining this session on the Queen Elizabeth Commonwealth Scholarship. I'm going to do about a 30 to 45 minutes presentation. Then afterward, you feel free to ask questions. Yeah, so basically, this is a Queen Elizabeth Commonwealth Scholarship. It allows you to study a 2-year master's degree at an ACU member university in a low or middle income country. Yeah, so as we go through the presentation, I'll go through some of the countries that allow people to do this scholarship. Okay, let's see, can go to next. Okay, so who is this scholarship for? So basically, this scholarship is it's a 2-year master's degree scholarship in a low middle income country. By that I mean you can't get a master's degree that is less than a year. So among the countries that have been advertised to be offering this a scholarship for this cycle, if you find a master's degree there that is less than 2 years, it's about a year or 1 year, 6 months, you're still allowed to go ahead and apply. Uh, the only caveat here is you can't go over 3 years, okay? So while taking your master's degree, if peradventure you fail and you need to repeat a year, and that pushes your degree to 2 to 3 years, then you wouldn't be eligible for funding in the third year. Otherwise, this is a 2-year master's degree. The upper ceiling is 2 years. So if you look at the promotional material on the website for the Queen Elizabeth Commonwealth Scholarship, you see that it points explicitly to students who are committed to creating change. So they are looking for students who are committed to creating change. So this is a hint to you that while you're applying, you need to ensure that you are a change agent. Even your essays that you put up, ensure that you talk about being a change agent. If you're not a change agent, if you've not done anything to demonstrate that you've brought change to your organization, um, then this scholarship allows you to demonstrate that. Thirdly, it's a cultural exchange and academic collaboration. So um, if you look at the promotional material again, there's so much looking at cultural exchange, and they want basically more like a south to south cultural exchange. So if you've been to um, basically, they don't support you to go outside of the low and middle income countries. They want you to stick around in the lower and middle income countries. So there's that exchange that has to happen south to south. So they encourage that, as well as academic collaboration. So when you're looking at this during your application, ensure that you hint at some of these things because this is what they are looking for. And also, they say they're looking for students that find solutions to be shared to the shared challenges that we find. So the main challenges that are across border, the challenges that are within specific countries. They're saying these are the people that they are looking for. So when you apply, ensure that you hint or rather talk about some of these challenges that you face, eliminate them, then you stand a better chance of winning this scholarship. And finally, it says the one scholars that will bring about positive change. So you need to hint about the positive change that you ever brought to your organization. Basically, for this kind of scholarship, whatever they hint in the promotional material, that is what they are looking for. So this is not just nothing. I got this directly from the website. So if you look at the website, you'll see that these are some of the things they look out for, and find a way to incorporate them. Don't just parrot what is on the website, but try to showcase some of these things because this is what they're looking for. Okay, so what does the scholarship cover? So basically, it's a fully funded scholarship, right? It covers your tuition, your living expenses, a return ticket to the host country, one off arrival allowance, and the research support grant. So basically, they'll match the school fees at whatever university. So if the cost of getting a master's degree is about let me just give an example. It's about $10,000, right? Then they'll match that. They'll pay for that, and they'll give you a living allowance, which they use some calculations to look at what is the basic living allowance that you have that is acceptable in that country using the economic data from the country that is hosting you. So they'll give you something that is able to allow you to float, something that will be enough for your accommodation and basically your food. So this stipend, unfortunately, this is only budgeted for one person. So if you're two or three, if you decide to carry your family, this might not be enough. So you might need an extra source of funding. In terms of research support, they don't give it to everybody. You have to request when you start doing a dissertation or your thesis. That's the time that you request for this, and it will be accorded to you. But basically, let's say you don't have to worry about finances while you're doing this. When you get this scholarship, you'll be able to uh, kind of study without problems. I think the biggest challenges will come in when you try to bring along family, because this scholarship does not cover that. So in terms of applications, there are two cycles each year. So the first one is in November, December. So this one has already passed. The second cycle opens up in March, April. So it opened up in April, and it will close in June, on the 4th of June. So in case you miss this cycle, you can always apply in the next cycle, but it's better to choose you can choose whichever cycle works with you. Mostly we look at the universities because these cycles correspond to the admission dates of the universities. So once you've done your applications from the date of close, which is 4th of June, you should expect to hear back final results in about 2 months from June. So somewhere towards the end of July, early August, you should get your response to your application. So that is when to apply. We're in this cycle. I encourage you to apply in this cycle. So, yeah, coming back to the list of participating countries, as I said in the beginning, there are several countries that participate in this uh, uh, that are part of the ACU. So the ACU member universities, each year they choose specific universities that participate. So in this case, for this cycle, there are only 5 countries that are participating. That's Fiji, Mauritius, Papua New Guinea, South Africa, and Sri Lanka. Um, so in these countries, there are specific universities that I've not included in this presentation, but for some countries, they just support maybe one university. I know for South Africa, there are about 4 or 5 universities that are supported for this cycle. So you can go to the website and I'll walk you through what to expect. So how do you apply? Basically, you need to look at the list of the countries and the universities that are supported, as I said. So you only apply to the courses that are listed. So if there's a course for instance, let me give an example. University of Pretoria is one of the universities that is supported in South Africa. If there is a if there is a course at the University of Pretoria that has not been included on the website that it's supported, you shouldn't go ahead and apply for that. Only apply for the universities that are supported, and you can find these universities on the website. If you do that, you just waste your time. If you apply for something else that is not on the website. So the applications are done in 2 ways. So the first one is you make an application to the the Queen Elizabeth Commonwealth Scholarship. Um, While you do that, you make another separate application to the university of your choice. Luckily, you can apply to more than one university, but for each university that you apply to, you need to ensure that you do a fresh application. So you can use the same email address. So let's say you're applying to University of Pretoria, and let me give an example of a Master's of Public Health. You can apply to that Master's of Public Health and submit your application and then start applying for another university. So usually I encourage students to apply for about 3 universities so that you broaden your chances. However, when you do that, you get to have another burden of getting recommendation letters that you need to get that are specific to each university from your referees, which can be a bit of a challenge, but for some people, they just do one recommendation letter, which is not non-specific. I don't encourage that. A recommendation letter should be specific to each university that you apply to. So that's where the issue comes in, but you can make as many applications as you can, but I encourage you to just make two or three applications. So the meat of the application actually is there are about four S's that you need to do. And there are many words. As you can see, the first one is the plan of study. It's the first statement. And luckily for this scholarship, they've really broken it down to ensure that you do not miss what is supposed to be what they are requesting of you to write. So the first thing is they want you to explain why you've chosen to study this course. So it needs to be very specific. If it's a Master's of Public Health, you need to be very specific why you've chosen that course. And then goes to say what specific features of the course do you find interesting. So they're really interested to see have you really done your research. So you need to know what is it the modules? Is it the way the format of the classes? Um, uh, is it the people that teach? Is it the faculty that you're interested in? You need to bring that out. Um, and it says, why do you want to study at this university and in this country? So it needs to be very specific. I said that this scholarship has got a lot of cultural intonation. So you need to kind of try to justify why you've chosen a specific university or specific country. Why not your own country? So um, that helps. And also, what have you done to research your chosen universities? So most of the applicants will just go to a university website and just parrot what's already on the website. They don't do specific research. If you follow me on LinkedIn, I made a post today that shows some of the things that you need to look out for, things that you need to include in your to show that you've actually researched this university. So to show your research, you might show the modules, look at the modules that are offered. Not the modules that are offered, you can also look at the faculty that is there, the research that they've done, or the format of the course. Some of those are some of the things that you need. If you do not know exactly what to do, the best is to look for a mentor, someone who's already studying at the university that you intend to study at, and reach out, especially to someone who's studying the course that you intend to study. I think that's the best that you can do. That would be so helpful to you. They can give information that is not found on the website. When I was applying for my Commonwealth Scholarship, I reached out to a mentor who told me about a specific module and the format of that module, how the course was offered. I think it was a systematic review, a meta-analysis, where you do a study together with faculty, and that ends up being published at the end of the day. So that's the goal. You get a publishable paper at the end of the course, and you get it published. So the time you're leaving university, you have a published paper. At least it's something that will go to a journal, a high impact journal or something like that. So this is something that couldn't have known unless I spoke to someone in that course who was doing that specific course and that specific module, and they gave me that information. When you put this kind of information in your paper, it stands out. It stands out. People will see that you've actually done your research. And also, they also want you to talk about how relevant is this to your future career plans. So you want to be a public health professional, you want to broaden your public health. How does it impact for career plans? How does it? But here you need to be very careful because these courses do not want people that talk about themselves, like personally benefiting. These scholarships want someone who's going to have impact on the community. So whatever career plan that you need to put up, ensure that you talk about not just yourself, but you talk about how is this scholarship going to benefit your community, right? Rather than just talking about yourself, I want to get this position. When I get a master's, then I'll be promoted to a higher position. Yeah, and that's just benefiting you. But talk about how is this going to impact your community. So you can say, oh, for instance, one of my mentees and was applying for a master's in infectious disease epidemiology, and in application, she wrote that we don't have an infectious disease specialist in my entire district, in my entire province. So when I become an infectious disease specialist, I'll be able to help people that need treatment, with infectious disease that need specialist treatment. The nearest referral hospital from my district is about 600 kilometers. That's a long distance to just refer patient. When I do this, I'll be domiciled in my province. I'll get back to my province and I'll be able to offer that specialist help to all the people in my province that need it. You see, that is showing that it's not about, yes, it's a career plan, but it's about how you impact the community around you. That's what they're looking for. And then explain how your previous studies and experiences make you a suitable candidate for this course, right? So for instance, I'm just giving an example. Since I'm in health, I'll give an example related to health. If you're a medical doctor, now you're pivoting to public health. How does your previous, studies as a medical doctor, how does that help you? Does that make you a suitable candidate for this course? So that's in the statement, plan of study. I've noticed here they said 200 to 400 words, but when I went into the application, I think they want you to do at least 300 words. Believe you me, 400 words is not enough to craft these an essay, a winning essay, right? That responds to all these questions, and that's some of the things that people ignore. They'll just see a plan of study and just write a plan of study without looking specifically at what is being requested of them. So what happens is when the assessors are assessing, so they'll go through this list. Have they explained why they've chosen this course? What specific features have they explained? Why do they want to study at this university? Have they explained? What have they done to research this course? Can they see evidence of your research? How is this course relevant to your future plan? Have they demonstrated that this is how it's going to benefit them? So these are some of the things they look at. But a lot of people just ignore this and just do a plan of study without even looking at this. And that is a losing essay, believe me. The second statement is about 300 to 500 words. So this is development impact and post-study research. So for this one, they want you to briefly describe one challenge or problem in your country that you would like to address. Okay. So you need to be very specific. And the more you choose a topic that affects an ordinary person, the better the weight, the better they'll look at you more favorably when assessing your application. So again, I can give an example of the same mentee I was talking about who studied a master's in infectious diseases. She she chose a topic that she was going to make was going to be a theme of her application, and this topic was cholera. Yeah. So in Zambia, sometime last year, we had one of the worst cholera epidemics. A lot of people died. A lot needed to be, I think it affected more than 7,000 people. A lot needed to be hospitalized. They had to open up entire stadium to use as a cholera center because the hospitals were overwhelmed, right? So that was a challenge she wrote about. We had West Korea epidemic, want to address how to I want to address cholera in my country, basically. So that's a challenge, which is a visible challenge, you know. So even you, as you choose, be specific. Look at one challenge. What is it that is affecting ordinary people, right? And write about that. So how will your proposed study help you to contribute to a solution to this challenge? You know, and here this person wrote about how she wanted to be able to control infectious diseases, and she was very specific. She wanted to predict, right? Predict the hotspots of where the cholera would be, so that even as she puts in public health interventions, she's not reactive, but rather proactive, right? And that was so good. She did a lot of research, looked at papers that looked at that, and in this same essay, she even indicated that, you know what, for my dissertation, I would like to look at mathematical modeling of predicting of where cholera, cases might be because of this paper that I read about how it was done by this professor. So I want to do that. And luckily, that professor was also a professor at her school, right? So that showed that she had done her research. You know, there's a course, there's a professor who teaches in that course, and that professor actually did a paper about spatiotemporal modeling of cholera cases, where he was able to predict where the next cholera cases would be, right? She wrote about that. So even when you do that in your proposed study, show them that you're forward thinking. Show them that you've already settled on a topic for a dissertation. You may not stick with the topic while when you get the scholarship, but you need to demonstrate that you're forward thinking. So what skills do you expect to gain from this scholarship? There are a lot of things that you gain from your course. What specific skills? That ties in with your first essay. Why have you chosen this course? There's specific skills. If you want to, for instance, if you're in health and you want to do epidemiology, you want to understand the epidemiology of cholera, for instance. Uh, or you want to be able to do research. Maybe you want to know how to use statistical software. You want to know how to use Theta or R. Are you able to demonstrate that in the course? Now there's this module. It uses this software. Um, I want to learn how to use it so I can do research in my district, in my province, wherever. Lastly, they were looking for how will you apply and share the knowledge and skills gained on award with your local community and or with the wider Commonwealth when you return home. Again, you have to demonstrate how you intend to do that, right? This lady was like, at my district, the district laboratory focal person. Whenever anybody goes for a training or for a workshop, when we get back, we have to teach what we learned to the people that have not had the opportunity to take the course that we've just undertaken. So this is what I'm going to do. There are these 9 people that I want to first impact with these skills that I would have learned. And by doing this, I'm going to achieve so many goals and this and that. So you need to be very specific, but also very realistic. And if you do that, your essay will stand out. Okay. Yeah, so there's also another part of the essay. This is the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So basically, you need to be aware of your sustainable development goal. For some of us in health, we like sustainable goal. And number 3, you're allowed to choose up to 3 sustainable development goals. Look at what is in your sphere, right? If you don't know the sustainable development goals, just Google them, look at them in detail. When you're looking at the sustainable development goals, don't just look at the broad themes. Like the one for health is good health and well-being for everyone. That's like a broad theme. But that goal is broken down in sub-themes. And those are the themes that you need to look at and concentrate. So if there's sometimes something to do with clean water, maybe under health, then you can tie that to cholera. And then they want you can write about 50, you write 150 to 150 words for this. You can choose up to 3. You can just write for one, but it's so advisable to choose up to 3 because these things are intertwined. Show that you have understanding of the broader um, aspect of, of your scholarship. Now, The statement three is creating networks, 400, 200 to 400 words. Again, they want you to explain how you've developed professional networks in the past. This can be through academic studies, hobbies, work experience, volunteering, or involvement in social, cultural, or common organization. You can use any of the examples, right? Use any of the examples that you'd like to roll with. If you do not have work experience, you can use an academic example. If you do have work experience, use some how you've built professional networks. These are very important. These people are supporting someone who's going to carry on with the work, right? Someone who shows that who's able to show them that I've already been doing this, I just need to improve on them. So if you don't show conclusive examples or examples that are convincing that you're able to build professional networks, then you are unlikely to get this scholarship. So how do you show uh, these networks, right? Um, Most of the people will talk about how they want to meet people at conferences and people at the universities or how they've met. When you're talking about networks, try to show how a network that you created helped you or helped the people in your community. So again, going back to the example of this infectious disease lady, she talked about how she needed to get commodities from, she was stocked up of commodities in her district, and she needed to get the commodities from across the province, not just a district, across the province, which is difficult to do in Zambia. But because she knew somebody in another district, in another province, who she had gone to school with, and they were part of the same WhatsApp group, she was able to get I think those were malaria rapid diagnostic tests that she was able to get across the province, which is a difficult thing to do, but she managed to get them because she had stopped out, and a district was a high burden malaria district. She reached out to someone who was in a district which didn't have high burden, got those RIDTs. As a result of getting those RIDTs, the clinicians in a district were able to prescribe, I mean, to diagnose malaria. They were able to give uh, the right medication. They were not over prescribing medication or just blindly treating clients. So this is a network, but it's showing how it helped um, an ordinary person in the district. And this is what they want. Just don't talk about yourself. I want to be able to present at conferences. I'm going to meet this. So if it's all about you, they won't look at you favorably. But if you show impact of whatever you're going to do on your community, I think that will get you kudos. So how have you used the networks and connections that you've developed to achieve something? What did you achieve? Again, I've already given that example. How might you develop these connections further during your international study experience? Again, can give that example and say, look, then I want to also learn from other countries. What is it that they how have they been doing these things? How have they been attending to infectious diseases or whatever it is that you're applying for, and just craft that essay that brings out that shows impact on the community. Okay, so these are the three essays that you need to do. First, 400 words. Second, 500 words. Third, 150 words, and the last one is 400 words. But then you need to also ask for recommendation letters, right? So you need to reach out to your referees and get your references. You need about two references, one academic and one a professional. If you don't yet have a job, you can get two academic referees. If you do not uh, if you don't, maybe if you left school a long time ago and you don't have an academic referee, you can get two professional. But remember, common scholarships are so lean heavily on academia. So it's advisable to get at least one academic referee. So there are instructions on how this should be done, be written on a headed paper, be addressed dear sir or madam. Explain the applicant's capacity to benefit from the proposed course of study. Explain the applicant's ability to deliver development impact post-award and be provided by an academic referee, and a current employer, so community leader, volunteer organization. So now, these basically you need to give these bullet points to your referee as they draft your letters. But believe you me, referees are busy people. If you're at a university, how many people does your professor see? How many students do they see in a year? Wait, still, if you left more than a year ago, how are you going to, are they even going to remember you? Unless you're a super student, you did something remarkable. Maybe they may remember you, but most of the time, referees won't remember you. So referees can make or break your application, okay? Depending on how they write. Some people would say, they'll just refer you to the dean, say, oh no, the headed paper is provided by the dean, so the dean is the one who should write. The dean doesn't even know you. They will write a generic, recommendation letter to whom it may concern. This thing was our student here, did well, graduated with this and that, and that's it. That's as good as nothing. Your referee needs to sing your praises. They need to show why you're the best person to get this scholarship. Unfortunately, most of them wouldn't have that time. So there's a trick that we use to kind of get them to do exactly what you want them to do. So you ask them, would you like me to draft the recommendation letter, to look to highlight some of the things that I think you and I work together on and things that I would like to come out. And then you draft that recommendation letter and put it, add these issues that are being asked of. Sometimes referees may be cocky. They'll say, we don't, no, I'll write. You don't need to write anything. I don't need a draft. Then in that case, they would ask you for a CV, right? So now the CV that you send to your referee needs to be on point, but it also needs to be expanded, right? That's a CV that has paragraphs. If you worked with your referee on something, you write it in full, right? You don't just write bullet points. It should have paragraph, that CV, because most of the times your referee will just kind of cut and copy whatever you've written in your CV. Okay. If your referee in the same city with your referee, you have contact with your referee, you can call them, you can meet with them, go over some of the things that you would want them to put in your proposal. But believe you me, most of them will just ask you to draft. If you can find someone who would ask you to draft, that would be better. Those that usually say I would write, most of them wouldn't write. They will wait until the end of, towards the end. They might even make you miss your deadline, which is, yeah, which is bad, right? So try to get a referee that would write for you, and somebody who's got access to a headed paper. Believe you me, this can be a problem for some referees. Other scholarship, but not this one, would ask for an official email address. They would reject Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail. They would reject those. They would want an official email. So, but this is good because the letter will be written on a headed paper, and you'll be able to see what they've written because you are the one who'll be uploading this recommendation letter to the system. So you make sure that they've addressed these things that are being requested. If you've not, uh, if they've not, it's better not to upload that because it's as good as nothing. So you need two referees. So I put this in addition to the letters that you're going I mean, the essays that you need to write, the four essays. You need to write to begin drafting these recommendation letters and send them early. You need to reach out. In fact, if you're planning to apply, better you reach out to your referees this week. Reach out. Most of them will agree. Ask if you could send them a draft. If they agree, sing your praises on that paper. Make it, the best that it can be, and then send it to them to just endorse, put on a on a on a headed paper and send it back to you so you can upload it. So you need I'll give some guidance to you guys in the group of how to write a recommendation letter that sings your praises. what you need to include, but it can be about a page or two or 1.5 page. So that's something else that you need to write. And since most of these things, if you are really drafting them on your own, it's use drafting them, you need to be very careful to ensure that you do not sound the same across the two different um, papers. I mean, the two different recommendation letters, because the reviewers can sense that this was written by one person. So that's a trick. You need to sound different in one letter and sound something else in the other letter. Please don't use ChatGPT. Nowadays, people frown on essays that have been drafted using ChatGPT or AI. It's better you just write. Nowadays, your imperfections are what will sell you. If you sound so perfect on paper, because you've used AI, mostly your application will just end up in the bin. So you can use ChatGPT to generate ideas of how the essay should look like, a recommendation letter should look like. But at the end of the day, it needs to be your voice. We need to see imperfections in there to show that you're human. See how it is when you apply, when you go to a website which says you tick to show that you're not a robot. It's the same here. You need to show that you've not used AI, right? You need to demonstrate that it is actually a human being that has written it. So this applies to the essays as well, not just the referees. Don't use AI if you can, but also don't use language which is people can't understand, right? You can write things and just put it into an AI check just to check if uh, your sentence constructions is okay, or you can ask for suggestions on how to make it. But please make it, don't, if you don't have the skill to do that, better you don't even touch AI. Those imperfections will actually help you rather than put you apart, but it needs to flow. The language needs to be understandable. The sentences need to make sense. Okay. So these are timelines for the tasks that you need to do. Uh, we have about 3 weeks away from the deadline. So the first thing you need to do between now and the next week on Wednesday, you need to draft the first S, which is the plan of study. Ensure that you've drafted that and you have it ready. Referees, make sure you draft all your two referees because you need to send them out early to get them signed and put on a headed paper. That's for this week. Next week, you need to draft the development impact statement and post-study outreach statement, as well as the SDG response. You need to draft that next. That's about 500 words, and also in the last week, you need to draft your the creating networks essay. So it's very easy for you to do these essays. The first thing that you need to start with is just responding to the prompts in one sentence. For instance, for the plan of study. So why have you chosen this university? If you can write in just one sentence, I've chosen this university because of this and that, it means you won't miss out on any of the prompts that are being asked of you. But if you do miss out, your chances go down. Yeah. So before we get to the questions, I noticed on the website when I looked at past scholars, it looks like they traditionally choose about 10 uh, scholars per year, or is it per cycle? I'm not sure, but I looked at the years before. It seems they choose quite a few scholars. So you need to kind of do your best to stand out, basically. People may mistake this. I think it's not very competitive, but it is competitive, and you need to bring your A game. If it does not work out, right, this is but it'll be like your training ground for bigger, better scholarship, like the Commonwealth Scholarship and the Chevening Scholarship, that will be opening up in the next few months, next 2 or 3 months. Those will be open, and that will help you to this will be like a training ground, but take it seriously. It might just help. Uh, might just help. Okay, so I see with Happiness and Cynthia. Thank you for joining. Do you have any questions before I proceed to demonstrate the application itself? Any questions? Yes, Cynthia, can go ahead.
Okay, good evening, Dr. Sanga. Can you hear me? Evening, are you able to hear me? Oh,
I can hear you. You can go ahead.
oh, okay. Um, I want first of all, thank you so much for the insight that you gave us on the
Mhm.
scholarship and how to apply. Um, I wanted to find out. I went through the I went through the website for the Commonwealth Scholarship for Queen Elizabeth, and I noticed most all of, if not all of them, are offering full time scholarships.
Mhm.
Um, when I saw your post, I never paid attention to that part, so I thought some of them were going to be online because that's where my focus is. I was planning to apply for an online scholarship. So I wanted to find out if at all of them are full scholarships or there are some that are online scholarships. This is because I'm going to start my internship for
Mhm.
medicine very soon, so I might not be able to do the full time scholarship. I mean the
Okay.
full time program. Yes.
Okay. No, thank you so much. So yeah, so I think you might have mistaken my post. This post was for I think the one that you used when joining the group was for the Queen Elizabeth, but there's also the Commonwealth Distance Learning Scholarship, which is currently open. But this session is not for that particular scholarship. So that one is currently open. I think it's be closing in June as well. Uh, but that's the distance learning scholarship that doesn't require you to to be in person, so to speak. So this is a different type of scholarship. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Anything from you, Happiness?
No, Mr. Chimbo, no. Okay.
Okay. All right. All right. So moving along, I just want to demonstrate the application. Okay, push this down. Okay, so this is the website. I think I've included it in most of my posts on LinkedIn. Shows when the applications open, shows on the 16th of April, and they close on the 4th of June. To apply, I usually allow people, I ask my mentees to look at all the uh, um, to read as much as possible. So there's the application guidance. If you're applying for this, go through the guidance. There's also the FAQs, which you can also look at. There's very valuable information there. To apply, these are the countries that are offering scholarships. There's Fiji, Mauritius, Papua New Guinea, South Africa, and Sri Lanka for this cycle. So there are different, each year there are different countries offering different scholarship. So like for Fiji, there's only one scholarship. I mean, there's one university offering any of these scholarships. So if you're choosing this, you need to choose any one of these. And then there's, I see your hand, Cynthia, I'll get back to you. And there's Mauritius. Mauritius got this very interesting Mass of Public Health uh, for the University of Mauritius. Papua New Guinea, any of these courses here that are being offered, you can choose any one of them if you're interested in this country. South Africa is interesting. They've got 4 universities that are offering these courses, and these are the courses that are being offered. For instance, at this Tshwane University of Technology, University of Pretoria has got these courses. You can choose one. Free State, so many courses that you can choose. Yes, Cynthia, if you can come through. I don't know if, can you guys see my screen?
No, we can't. That's what I wanted to find out.
Okay. All right. All right. Let me raise that screen. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So as I said, you should go to this website. There's a scholarship that are being, I mean, I encourage people to go through everything, so the application guidance and the application FAQs. These are countries as I was talking about. There's Fiji, Mauritius, Papua New Guinea, South Africa, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, there at this university, there are 2 universities that are offering this scholarship. So there's this University of Colombo. These are the courses that are offered there. There's University of Siri. I won't pronounce this word because I can't read it. They're offering an MBA. Um, then South Africa's got 4 universities, right? And each university is offering quite a number of courses, right? Quite a number of courses at each university. So basically, you can choose, go through, see what applies to you, and then go ahead and apply. So to apply, you come to the submit button here, down here, and it opens up. Can you still see my screen? I hope you can still see it.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So basically, the application is very simple. The personal data, there's nothing here to, to teach. You just put your contact information, personal data, the institutions, put your institutions. So if you already have a master's degree, there's no need to put it here if you really want to get your scholarship. Because if you already have a master's, they discourage those with a master's degree. They want those that do not have master's degree to apply. So you put your institutions, your most recent, the second, depending on how many you've done. If you only have one, you just have a bachelor's, let's go ahead and put that and upload your certificates. For some reason, they ask for the certificate from high school. But again, if you don't put it, the system still allows you to go ahead. But there's no harm in putting your certificate from high school. And then you show your employment. You go ahead and show your employment record. You can put at least 3 that they ask for. Yeah. And then the course details. Now here is where you choose. So in the beginning, the system will allow you to choose a course. So for instance, for myself, I chose the University of Free State, and then the drop-down menu here to ask you for which courses. So please choose the course of the university that is showing. So the University of Free State. And then it will ask you, have you already applied to university or had any contact with staff there regarding this course? Let's go ahead and put. Okay, that was my daughter. So anyway, you go ahead and then this is where you insert your plan of study, right? So as I've said, they want you to, so the first one, they want you to write at least 200 words. Then the system will allow you to go ahead. If you do less than, I can show this. If you do less than 200 words, you see, sorry about that. So if you do less than 200 words, the thing won't allow you to go ahead. But more than 200 words, it accepts. I don't encourage doing it here. Do it on a Word document and then put it, just copy and paste it here once you're ready. Again, development impact. This is the one maximum 500 words. They want you to do at least 300 words, right? So as you can see, 200 words remaining. If you do less than that, okay, again, shows that you can submit. So at least 300 words. And this is where I talked about the SDGs. You can choose as many SDGs as possible, right? Add them and write about them. You can always remove them if um if you forget. I mean, if you're just writing about one, and write about your SDGs, right? And then creating networks, 400 words, similar thing. You need to do at least half of the words. And then from there, um, you upload your referees, put their details, name, email, and the letter you upload for the first one and the second one. You do that, and then you can go ahead to, yeah, and then you show your privacy statement, and then you can upload this to the system. So basically, that's how the application system application system looks like. It's a very simple application. It's not very heavy. As long as you do those things, you'll be able to get to your preferred university. So yeah, basically that's it. We're almost at time. This was supposed to be for an hour. Um, so if you are applying, there's that timeline that I gave. If you're not applying, then I hope this was a very good informational session for you to see what is possible and how to craft your essays for whatever scholarship you might be applying for. I'll save a recording of this and put it on my YouTube channel, specifically for those that were unable to make it. Otherwise, I'll open it up for questions one more time, and if not, we can end here. Are there any questions?
Yes, I have one last question.
Please go ahead.
There was a part that showed work experience. So, in a case where you don't have any, what do you put?
Okay, so I think there's no way you can have no, you should, if you don't have any, don't put anything. But it would be difficult to respond to some of the essays if you don't have any work experience. So the idea here is you should have at least even some volunteer work experience that you can put in your system. Don't just leave it blank. If you volunteer, if you're a medical doctor, a student, you should have interned, not really interned, but rotated at hospitals, so you can put that as part of your rotation. Or if you did something else, but I think they are looking for people that have a bit of work experience. If you don't have any work experience, makes it a little bit difficult because even the essays, as you respond to them, you wouldn't respond to those essays adequately. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any more questions? Okay. If there are no questions, in a few months, I'll be having frequent Zoom teachings on scholarships, specifically when the Commonwealth and Chevening open. That's when I run my cohort study. So if you've not registered for that and you'd like to be part, please do register for my cohort. Um, my cohort group. I help students with um, applying for the Commonwealth as well as the Chevening scholarships. Those are widely available and a good bargain. So if you are interested in that, I think I post these things on my LinkedIn. You should be able to find a session such as that one. The link is always posted. Join. It's a waiting list for now. When it gets to a certain level, I can only support about 3 classes. After that, I stop posting the link and the groups are closed down and it becomes a little bit difficult for people to join. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining this session. And I hope you learned 1 or 2 things that will help you in your application. Thank you so much. Bye bye.